Hey, good morning YouTube. Jimmy with To The Top Crane. This morning I gotta set the crane up and move some counterweights around. I've made a few videos of doing that, so I'm probably not gonna record that, but what I figured I'd do is I'd go into a little more detail as far as setting the crane up. So I'm trying to film one-handed and show you guys this stuff with my other hand. And I apologize that it's shaky. It's gonna be shaky. I didn't want to put my hard hat on to do this because, well, we're under a heat advisory right now, and I don't want my brain cooker on when I don't have to have it on. So I released these pins. These normally sit in here like this when we're going down the road. I have to pop them out. What those do is they perform two different functions. One, they keep the outrigger beam from inadvertently extending when you're driving. And then the other function they perform is when you're set up on a job, you lock them in place, and it keeps your beams from retracting when you transfer weight onto them, which would cause the crane to tip over. So yeah, those are pretty important. I just grabbed a big old handful of grease. That's fun. Reeving video, I had a couple people comment about not wearing gloves when I was handling that cable. I know that cable like the back of my hand. It gets inspected daily, or anytime I'm in the crane. So it doesn't bother me to handle that cable without gloves. If I didn't know the cable, then I would definitely be wearing gloves. Okay, so what I did is I throttled the carrier up. That's right here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit enter, go into our outrigger and suspension screen. So I can tell by looking at the crane that it's pretty out of level, and you can see where the dot is. And Randy with G4 was actually at our facility one day, and I took him for a tour of the crane. And he asked what we use the suspension, like the suspension controls for. Before I set up, I try to level the carrier using the suspension. So right there, I'm lowering the rear suspension. I'm gonna have to raise the front end a little bit, or this outrigger pad's gonna hit the ground. So I'll go ahead and raise the front end. Extend this outrigger beam out. And once I get that beam extended all the way out, then I'll go ahead and lower the front suspension again, because you can tell, I mean, now we're out of level to the front. We're high in the front. So I'm going to go ahead and lower the front suspension. That pad just touched the ground. Now we're going to see where we're at as far as level. Okay, we're pretty close, except for the far side needs to come up. But we also have to get all of our tires off the ground. So I'm going to go ahead and run this side down. Well, I got to extend that one out first. Got ahead of myself. I'm not used to recording and doing this at the same time. Okay, so I'm going to run these down so they just touch the ground. And We don't need any crane pads out here. This ground is as hard as concrete, and we're not setting up to do much anything. We're gonna pick a couple counterweights at a pretty short radius, so there's not gonna be a lot of weight on the ground, not a lot of force. Okay, now I'm gonna extend these beams out on this side. I'm gonna do them both at the same time. These two jacks down. Okay, now there's a dot right here on our screen. The goal is to put that dot in the center of the circle. On this crane, we got to get the tires off the ground, and it will pick its own suspension up. So I'll show you. I've got 22 tons on the left front corner, 15 on the right front, 15 on the right rear, and 17 on the left rear. So I've got enough weight on my outriggers that I can go ahead and raise my suspension up. So I'm going to hit this button, and what that'll do is it'll raise the suspension up. However, Tadano probably needs to reprogram their thinking on this part of it. If you don't have the outrigger jacks down on the ground and you have the full weight of the crane sitting on the tires and you hit that button, it will bottom the suspension out. It'll drop the crane like you dropped it from another crane. So it happens very fast. Okay, so all the suspension's raised. Now we're going to check and see where we're at for level. So we're still a little bit high on that far side. I'm going to look and see how much room we got under the tires. Okay, so I can let that far side down a little bit. Okay, our tires are still off the ground. Our dots in the center of the circle, we've got an okay. We're 0.1% out of level, which is fine. I mean, that's close enough. We've got 33 tons on each front one, 11 and 17. So I'm gonna bump this one a little bit just to try to get them to match. Yeah, now we got 17 on both rear corners, 33 on both front corners. The reason why there's less on the rear is because the boom is laying on the dolly. So I'm going to go ahead and throttle it down. I'm going to exit that menu, exit again. And now for all intents and purposes, the crane is set up, the carrier is set up ready for crane work. Now, when we're out on a job making picks, these get locked in. So that locks the beams where they can't slide in. But we're doing everything from, I mean, this is our furthest pick is going to be pulling this weight off the back of the dolly, and then we're going to set it on the deck. We're going to take our other weight, put it on the back of the dolly. We're doing a job tomorrow, which is a Saturday, right here in town, where I got to have 3 counterweights. And instead of running a second truck, I'm just going to throw that one weight on the dolly, one on the deck, and I'll have my second counterweight on the truck. So there you have it. Now I'm just waiting for my help to get here so we can reeve the block and get it boomed up and ready to go.